Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Director Jules.
Sorry, folks, we're going to be slightly delayed. We're having some technical difficulties, so please bear with us.
Thanks for letting us know, Chair.
Okay, folks, we got about 30 seconds. Okay, folks, if we can get you to grab your seats, please.
Probably not a good idea just to turn it on at noon and then figure out if it doesn't work.
So for the people online, all the directors to my
Yep, you're cutting out already.
we can no, Robin, if you want to move to the other side, by all means, go ahead. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, confirmation of quorum. We have call to order. The chair acknowledges that we are located on the traditional territory of the Lakota people. Adoption of public agenda. Second. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Petition and delegations. We have Emma Wallace and Stephanie Henderson representing the Rural Development Network will make a presentation regarding the 2022 Collecting Stories of Where You Live survey in a regional housing and service use survey for Strathcona Regional District. Good afternoon. You have 10 minutes, please. The floor is yours.
Hello and thank you. I'm just looking, it's looking like I'm not actually able to share my screen right now. Let me see if I can troubleshoot this super briefly.
Do you have a button that says open share tray, Emma? It's a little box with an arrow that looks like it's pointing up.
Yes, but it says permission not granted. So sorry, everyone. Let me, it might be a desktop issue. Give me 2 seconds here. While I'm troubleshooting this, maybe I'll introduce myself. Hello, and thank you for having me here today. My name is Emma Wallace, and I am the project manager for estimations at the Rural Development Network. And so I'm going to be presenting. Oh, I might have gotten us all solved here. 2 seconds. Screen one. What? Okay. Stephanie, can you see my screen title page here?
Yes.
Amazing. Okay. So sorry about that, everyone. But yes, my name is Emma Wallace. I'm with the Rural Development Network. Stephanie here is also joining us. District participated in a large-scale housing and service needs estimation to better understand what homelessness looks like, to collect person-centered data to complement the recent Campbell River Point time count and the Strathcona Regional District Housing Needs Assessment report. So instead of looking at things like market factors and housing availability, this project was really meant to achieve that person-centered look at housing and service needs through the lens of individual and family experiences. So really trying to understand who is experiencing homelessness in the region and why they might be experiencing. Coalition to End Homelessness and the Urban Indigenous Housing and Wellness Coalition. Excuse me. And we conducted a survey to gather these results between April and May of 2022. And it was a survey that was offered in person through various service agencies across the region and online. So that was obviously a very quick overview of context, but I really want to dive into some of the survey results and kind of share that with you. So I briefly want to talk a little bit about how the report is structured. So given the size of Strathcona Regional District, we've actually broken down the report into 6 sections. And what I'm presenting today is a high-level data highlight from the entire Strathcona Regional District. That being said, the report breaks down results further by community, and those communities are listed out on the screen here. And so if you're kind of interested in one community in particular, you can take a look at the report and specifically look at their results. And one thing I do want to note is that the breakdown of results is based on surveys that we received. So areas that we didn't receive survey responses from aren't actually included in the report. So we received 427 valid survey responses through the 30-day enumeration period. And of those 427 respondents, 311 were identified as housing unstable or housing precarious. And we were also able to identify an additional 304 dependents and 311 adults living with survey respondents in those unstable conditions. And so what this means is that we've identified at least 801 people who are in unstable housing situations in the district. And it's really important to emphasize that there are likely many more people experiencing homelessness in Strathcona Regional District. We only managed to capture the experiences of 801 of them. And again, the experience is really what we want to share today, less so about the number. And then throughout our analysis, we're actually able to determine respondents' experiences along the spectrum of homelessness. So anytime a respondent referenced an experience of homelessness along the spectrum, it was actually recorded. And this information is compiled here on the chart. So 50 times, it was recorded that someone was experiencing homelessness, absolute homelessness. So those people were unsheltered 50 times throughout the 30 days. And it kind of goes on like that. And one thing I kind of like to remind folks of when I talk about this is that people cycle throughout the spectrum of homelessness regularly. So where they might be unsheltered one day, they might be in an emergency shelter the next day. And so this chart really represents respondents' experiences on the specific day that they filled out the survey. So the top 5 reasons for housing instability in the Strathcona Regional District are an inability to afford rent or mortgage payments, low wages, housing needs major repairs, increasing rent prices, and illness or medical conditions. And the fact that 3 of the top 5 reasons were income related is actually maybe a little surprising, considering that 65% of respondents are employed. So upon further analysis, we kind of determined that 47% of housing unstable respondents reported an annual household income of less than $30,000, despite 65% of them being employed. So there might be a little bit of a disconnect there in terms of pay. Another thing I like to report on is living situation. So we asked respondents whether or not they were born in the community, why they might have come to the community, if they weren't born here, and then how long they've been here. And one of the most interesting things to come out of this report, in my personal opinion, is the reasons why respondents moved to the Strathcona Regional District. And specifically the first reason there, respondents coming to the community for the lifestyle that it offers. So in all of the projects I've worked on with communities, this reason has actually never made it into the top 3. And so I really like to flag that because it's very clear that Strathcona Regional District is doing an amazing job of welcoming folks into the community and is able to offer a lifestyle that residents enjoy. A little bit on the flip side of that, I also do want to recognize that sufficient heating was one of the most often lacked amenities among respondents. So 107 respondents don't have heating in their home. So something to really kind of think about as we move forward in this work. And then when asked what community supports respondents access, health and wellness was the most access support, followed by basic needs and financial support. So based on respondents' overall perceptions of service provision in the area, we're also able to generate what we're calling a bit of an overall satisfaction score for service provision. So housing stable respondents, folks who are not in a precarious situation, are 52% satisfied with the service provision in their community. And housing unstable respondents are only 33% satisfied. Now, this isn't necessarily surprising because people who are housing stable often experience fewer barriers in accessing services. That being said, a high of 52% on a satisfaction scale is still fairly low. And what's really important to note here is that the satisfaction score isn't speaking to the satisfaction of current services available in the region. Rather, respondents are letting us know that they're not satisfied with the lack of services. And so they're really finding themselves having to travel to access necessary services because they aren't available to them in their current community. So that is what I call a all-time high level overview of results. If you're really curious, I really encourage you to hop into the report and do a deeper dive into some of the data that we've discovered. But I wanted to carve out a little bit of time to talk about some of the opportunities that RDN has identified to address housing and service needs moving forward. So we've identified 6 opportunities to address homelessness in the community. And I want to dive into a couple of them specifically. The first one I want to talk about is protecting and developing accessible housing opportunities. So when we asked housing unstable respondents, when we asked everyone what they wanted to see more of in their community, almost every housing unstable respondent and most respondents who are stable focused on housing. And specifically, they mentioned a need for increased availability in rental and for purchase housing, increased affordable and low income housing units, and long-term rental contract unit options. So generally speaking, residents need more opportunity to be housed. Additionally, 176 respondents believe that the development of a transitional housing unit in the Strathcona Regional District would help address issues of homelessness. And the results really suggest that it would specifically support folks who are experiencing domestic or family abuse and violence, and really folks who are either housing unstable as a result of leaving their unsafe situation, or who are actually not able to currently leave their unsafe situation because of the lack of housing. And so one thing, sorry, knocked my camera there. So one thing we really encourage is for folks to consider the need for affordable and adaptable housing projects to increase the options available to local residents as a critical kind of means to stabilize the current housing market and address issues of homelessness. And like I said, this could look like transitional housing units, more rental and for purchase units. It could also look like things like tiny homes, boating residences, etc. And then the second one that I really want to highlight is elevating and increasing accessible and affordable community services. So a lot of respondents noted the difficulty in accessing basic needs services, specifically around shelter and food. And the main reasons for this were limited hours of operation, their distance to and from their kind of living location to the service itself, and then of course the lack of transportation in between the two. excuse me. We also had 107 respondents, like I mentioned earlier, who lack sufficient heating in their homes, 55 respondents who lack indoor plumbing, and 37 respondents who don't have access to safe drinking water. And so improved awareness of and access to things like crisis financial resources and support is really critical to ensure that the residents receive the basic amenities they need to be considered in a livable home. And then maybe most troubling of all that I really want to flag here is the number of respondents who reported hitchhiking to access services due to the lack of transportation between communities and the lack of available services in each community. So a really high risk and unsafe kind of behavior to be taking part in, but necessary for folks to kind of help them get out of homelessness. So without availability and access to the necessary supports and services, respondents continue to cycle through the stages of poverty and homelessness, and they're really unable to break that cycle without accessing the necessary services. And so this data really suggests the need to kind of advocate and create more accessible and affordable community services in the region, whether that's bringing more services into the region, boosting transportation to get between services, or otherwise. So looking at my time, I know I kind of ate up a few minutes at the beginning there, but that is a really brief overview of our project. And I recognize, like I said, that was super high level. In the presentation, it's linked, and we're happy to kind of share that more broadly in the question period, is the full report. And we would really encourage folks to take a look at that report, ask any questions, reach out if you have any questions, as a means to kind of understand what's happening in the community around issues of homelessness and how we might look at addressing it in the future. So I will say thank you again so much for your time. It's really appreciated. And I'll open the floor if there are any questions.
Thank you. Directors, anyone have a question? Director Mawhinney.
Thank you for your presentation. I have a couple of questions. I did look at some of the information that I saw about the survey. I was curious how you distributed the survey.
Yeah, so we use what's called a service-based population estimation approach, which I always laugh when I say because it's like a hilariously long name. But basically it means that we work with service providers across the community and with task force members, or coalition members, I should say, to distribute the survey. And so Stephanie was a huge part of that, going around to different service locations, libraries, food bank shelters, et cetera, and herself just going out and distributing surveys across the region. And we also had so we kind of had a paper option that folks could pick up a survey at, for example, a library, and fill it out and leave it there. And then we had an online survey option. And so we were promoting that all over Facebook, on the website, in different client emails and whatnot, kind of sending out newsletter blurbs and whatnot saying, hey, click on this link, fill out a survey.
Thank you. And I do have one other question, and that was that I looked over the community profiles on the coalition website and noticed that there was a really high level of female respondents. I think I saw it was like 77% female and 17% male. And I'm curious, with your experience working with unhoused or precariously housed individuals, if those percentages are usual, that's average, that would be such a high level of women that would be in that situation.
Yeah, that's a really great question, actually. That brings up a great point. So in this type of survey, yes, the majority of folks who would fill out the survey are women. And that is kind of specifically because women tend to be the ones who access services for their family. And so it's not necessarily a comment on the amount of, the kind of breakdown of more women are experiencing homelessness than men. Like we said, we didn't necessarily capture everyone, but more women access services than men. And that is very common across the field of homelessness and kind of housing need. And that is very common in this type of survey as well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else? No, want to thank you very much, ladies, for doing the presentation today. We appreciate it very much. Yeah, have a good
Thank
day.
you for having us.
Take care.
You as well.
Take care.
A motion to receive. Presentation? Moody and Vonish. You're too slow. You're too slow on this one. You got to go a little quicker. Discussion? All in favor? And opposed, seeing none, carried. Adoption of minutes. The regular, I'm sorry?
Do I say right now if I think there's a correction that needs to be made?
No, you have to bring it up in the next meeting in January because I moved on. I'm kidding. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. I noticed two small issues in the minutes. One of them was that under correspondence, Minister Josie Osborne's name was inadvertently misspelled as Jody Osborne. And the second issue was that in my motion regarding grant and aid and economic development disbursements, that was intended for Area C, a report for Area C, and that Area C did not get into the minutes. And that's probably partly my bad for not having pre-shared the motion with Edith prior, so my apologies for that.
Right. Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. There's no business arising from the minutes? No public considerations, no notice of motion. Chair's report. Okay. Here we go. You all ready? All right. As you know, we've been working on the committees and external agency appointments. So under First Nation Relations, we have Director Colburn, Jules, Mawhinney, Vonish, Davis, and Dahl. Is that how you say your name? Dahl? Dahl? Electrical areas. That was good. Electoral areas, you're all on your committee. Municipal services on this, you all know who you are as well. School District 72, we have Vonish and Rice, and we need one more. School District 72. And Kerr. Perfect, thank you. Governor Select, there is nothing there. We have for Strathcona Gardens, we have Director Rice and Lott. And then it's going to be two from Campbell River, which one is including Dahl, and the other one, and then we have a private member. So there's one other person from Campbell River that we need on there. Senate? Am I wrong?
Yeah. You've got,
Where am I wrong?
You've got Lott under Strathcona Gardens. He can't, he's got to be Campbell River.
Oh, I thought this was 2+.
Yeah, it's City Campbell River.
I'm sorry, Director Lott, you've been removed from the Strathcona Gardens because it has to be Campbell River. My apologies. So Campbell River, we have, this is good?
Yep.
Nolan's not? Okay, we're good there. Now the external organizations, we have the Municipal Finance Authority, we have Lanyon, and we have Director Davis is going to be the alternate. Municipal Association, we have Director Chapman, and Colburn is the alternate. 911 Corporation, we have Director Rice, and Director Chapman is the alternate. Strathcona Connect Coast, we have Director Rice, no alternate. Community Health, we have Director Kerr, and I need an alternate for Director Kerr, please, for Community Health. Anybody over there want to put up their hands? Okay, Chapman, thank you. And then we have AVICC, Regional Solid Waste Committee. I need an appointee and an alternate, please. Okay, you're on quite a bit. You're going to be okay with that?
Press the button.
Do you have any more information on this committee, on like how often they meet, that kind of thing?
By all means, Mr. Yates, please. Oh, that's right, your microphone doesn't work.
If I may. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To our knowledge, this committee has not met in at least a couple of years. They might decide to meet over the course of the next year, but at this point, I can say they have not met in a while.
I feel comfortable being on that committee.
Do you feel comfortable now? Okay, excellent. I don't know, I got an email earlier from AVICC. They're meeting every Thursday at 3. So I'm glad you jumped on that. Do we have another director as an alternate? Thank you.
How long are these appointments for, by the way?
They are until you retire. Actually, that's generally 1 year. Okay. Then we have the Coesis, thank you. We have Director Rice, and we need an alternate for Director Rice, and that's for the Advisory Committee, Treaty Advisory Committee. Sorry, was that Senate? Yes? Okay. Perfect. Homalco, Treaty Advisory. That was Director Dahl, was that? Thank you very much. And we need an alternate for that. We got Colburn, Cluse, Treaty, we got Vonish, and we need an alternate, please. Okay. And for the Weewakai Treaty Advisory, we have Mawini, we need an alternate. Perfect, thank you. Landon, okay, there we go. And for the We Come, I need a director. And as a alternate, Ron Kerr. Okay, BC Ferries, we have Director Vonish, and I need an alternate for BC Ferries, please. How often do BC Ferries meet? I would assume they meet.
They haven't met in years.
They haven't met in years. Okay. Marine Planning and Partnership, we got Mooney and Senate. Vancouver Island Regional Library Board. Really? Electoral areas only. No. Rice? And I need a EA alternate. Pardon me? Gerald? Perfect.
So receive the chair's report as amended. Would that be
Sure.
just amended it, right?
Yeah, we just amended it. So we're going to receive the director, or pardon me, the chair's report as amended. Do you have a motion, please? Second, we have Vonish. We have Lott. And do we have further discussion? Everybody's happy with their appointments? Excellent. Thank you very much. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing, oh, so I hand go up there. Are you opposed? No? Okay. Thank you. Motion is carried. Now, that the appointment outlined in the December 6th report of the chair, December 2nd, 2022 report of the chair be confirmed. Second? Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. And that payment of the meeting remuneration, travel expenses be authorized for the director appointment made at the December 7th, 2022 meeting of the board, except where provided by the external agents.
So moved.
That came in. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? None? Carried. Okay. Thank you. Consent calendar. Okay, committee chair report. Thank you. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none? Carried. External report, staff reports. Calendar of board meetings amendment. That the report from the Chief Administrative Officer be received. Second? Discussion? Mr. Yates? Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So following the board's adoption of its meeting schedule for 2023, it was discovered that there could be a conflict in the September meeting date. Not certainly there is, because every director has an alternate, of course, but this is an opportunity if the board wishes to revisit the September date and make a change, then they may do so at this time, or they may leave it as is. It's up to the board. Thank you.
I would like a change. The reason why is it falls right under UBCM.
I move option 2, that the board meeting currently scheduled for September 20th, 2023 be rescheduled to September 13th, 2023.
We have a motion? That was a second? I said we have a motion. Just waiting for the second. That's okay. Discussion? All in favor? Everybody's in favor. Opposed? Seeing none? Carried. Parcel tax roll review and panel appointments for 2023. Second? Discussion? Sorry? Tomlin? During discussion? Mr. Yates?
Do we speak to the motion, or
Parcel tax.
there's a motion on the floor, I think?
Mr. Yates will get back to us in just a moment. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none? Mr. Yates?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is an annual occurrence where the report on the appointment of members to the parcel tax roll review panel is typically made. We are typically on a very short window to have this process completed. You'll see the end of February is basically do or die day, so we typically bring this in December for the board to consider, and we will require 3 members of the board be appointed to the parcel tax roll review panel. The panel may or may not be required to meet. They have not been required the last couple of years. That requirement would only kick in if there are changes to be considered. And right now, we're not aware of any. So it is, in fact, just in anticipation of that possibility. Thank you.
This is, go ahead, Director
Yeah,
Rowland.
Mr. Yates, if you could point out the electoral areas that actually have, what are these things called, parcel taxes?
Mr. Chairman, we have 2 parcel tax rolls currently. One is for electoral area C for the Kwathiowski Cove sewer system extension. The second is for the Craig Road water system in electoral area D, which is paid, debt is paid off through imposition of a parcel tax. Those are the only 2 that we currently have parcel tax rolls to be authenticated. Thank you.
Okay, so this is for area directors only, is that not correct?
Any director.
Any director. Okay. I need 3 people. Sorry,
Can I make a motion?
by all means.
I'll move that Director Mawini, Rice, and Wally be appointed as members of the Parcel Tax Roll Review Panel for 2023.
Second, Davis.
We have three. Moini, Rice,
And Wally.
and Wally. We have a second, please? Oh, yeah, that's right, you did that, yeah, really quick, like. Discussion. No discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. And C,
Move C that if required, the first sitting of the Parcel Tax Review Panel be scheduled for 8:45 a.m. on Wednesday, February 28, 2023 at the Regional District Corporate Office.
second. Director Dahl, and we have discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Surge Narrow Wildland Fire Brigade, status update. CAO? Motion to receive? We'll do that first. Second? Lunt got it? Okay. Any discussion? No. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none. CAO?
There's nothing from staff to add to this unless there's questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any questions from directors? Director Mulwiney.
Thank you for the report. I was going to ask Sean Koopman. I understand that the the Outer Discovery Islands community has been surveyed for feedback and interest following this study, and I'm curious if there's a timeline for receiving that report or if there's anything to add about the survey. Thanks.
Mr. Koopman.
Through the chair to the director, we're hoping to have that report back to the second meeting in January at the latest, and the survey response deadline was this Friday. We've got about 80 responses, 30 that were physically mailed back, 50 that were submitted online, so about a 45% community turnout rate.
That's great. Thank you, Sean. Thank you through to the chair, to Sean.
You don't have to thank me. No, that's
Through the chair to the director, you're welcome.
okay. So that's all the questions. So we're at all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Early earthquake warning system. Oh, I missed a 4?
Yes, you missed 4.
Oh, I didn't like 4. Sorry. It was area D. I was just going right past it. Okay. So area D water system, maintenance agreement renewal. Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none? Carried. CAO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sheena will speak to this for us.
Hello, directors. So in the report, it details that the maintenance agreement that we have currently with the City of Campbell River expires at the end of this year. As mentioned, we are very satisfied with the services that they have provided. It's been great to work with the folks in the water department there. I believe that we have negotiated more favorable terms this time than what we had last time, which includes a reduction in the administration fees from 15% down to 10%, and also removes the provision for the city to refuse certain services that was previously in the old agreement. So I think we've got a really good opportunity here, and that we would not get better service or better pricing if we went out to market, based on the proximity of the Campbell River staff to our water service area, as well as their understanding of the system. So I would be happy to answer any other questions that folks might have about this.
Thank you. Directors, any questions? Director Rice.
I just wanted to say that for the new directors, I'll be supporting this. I do agree that the Area D does get very good service from the City of Campbell River, so thank you.
Perfect. Motion. Need a motion, please? No, we did receive. Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, we voted on receive, did we not? We did, yes. Okay. Motion, please. That the chair and the corporate officer be authorized to amend the contract from Baylink Networks and the Salt, no, premature, hang on, don't go anywhere. Option A or B? Option A,
I'd move option A.
okay, we have a move on option A. Do we have discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Okay, so now I can go to 5, right? Earthquake, early earthquake warning system from Baylink, sorry. Thank you. Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. CAO, do you have anything to add?
Thank you. Wolf will speak to this for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, directors. I just want to take an opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Wolfram Pará. I'm the manager of engineering services, and I'm doing this because I know there are new directors, so welcome to the SRD. With regards to the report, what I would like to do is to provide an update on proposed modifications that we have to the contract with Baylink Networks. Baylink Networks has been selected to design, supply, and install 16 earthquake early warning stations or systems along the coast, all the way from north of Campbell River up to Haida. This project is being built and designed in conjunction with the Connected Coast project. So back in August 17, we introduced a staff report with a recommendation to the board to have the chair and the corporate officer to sign the contract. That resolution was passed. However, when we submitted the contract to Baylink Networks, they expressed a few concerns about the language that we had in the contract. Since then, we have been working with Baylink Networks and all these clauses and provisions that we have, and we've been able to actually have revisions to the agreement. So some of the major changes that we made are related to the contract price. We have reduced it just to clarify what SRD would be responsible for buying when it comes to network equipment and what they're responsible for buying when it comes to the sensors. We have been able to have clarification on the development of the operation plan. So they will support the operations plan, but we're responsible for implementing and having manuals as well. We also have a reduction in the warranty period from 5 years to 1 year, which I think is reasonable for this type of equipment. We made revisions to Schedules A, D, and F. The first one, A, is related to the owner statements of requirements that shows clearly what SRD is responsible for. As well, we provided detailed project budget. It's a breakdown of materials, labor, and equipment to build the project. As well, we provided clarifications of costs incorporating unit prices. So these are unit prices to install a new sensor, relocate a new sensor, to provide labor, to travel to the site, and even just to make repairs if we have to use that. As well, we made an allowance to use a qualified person who will be responsible for the design, and this kind of fits within the standard industry practice. Instead of using a professional engineer, this kind of a professional will align with the terms of the contract with Connected Coast and as well in Natural Resources Canada. So we feel, staff feels like the changes that Baylink Networks is asking us to modify are reasonable, and it will help to a successful completion of the project. So our recommendation to the board today is to have the chair in the corporate office to execute the amended contract with Baylink Networks for the design, supply, and installation of 16 earthquake early warning systems sensors. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just in case anyone's wondering, this was a grant that was provided. If you're wondering why it's coming to the board instead of the Connected Coast, this was a grant that was provided through, can anyone hear me? Through NRCan, and they would only provide the grant to local government, so it had to be applied through for the SRD.
Director Chapman.
Chair, Director Davis is online and has a question.
Oh, thank you. Director Davis.
Yeah, thank you, through the chair to staff. I was just looking at the map, in Schedule B, and I noticed there's quite a cluster of sensor sites for earthquake sensing on the north end of Vancouver Island, but there's none on the west coast where Tassus is and Zabalis. And this is one of the most tectonically active areas in the regional district. And I'm curious as to why no sensors are planned for that area.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to respond, thank you so much for your question. So, yeah, so 16 stations, 4 on the North Parole Island, 12 along the BC coast, and I have great news. We received a letter today where the funders Natural Resources Canada has approved another application that we submitted, and that will provide sensors to the West Coast, and more details will come in upcoming meetings. We will introduce another staff report. So the great news is the network has been extended, and those new sensors are going to be located on the West Coast.
Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? So Director Bonish?
Is the 1.8 million, it's entirely covered by the grant?
Correct, yeah, it's 100% funded.
Perfect. We need a motion, please, on B. Director Wally?
Yeah, I move that the chair and corporate officer be authorized to execute the amended contract with Baylink Network, Inc. as a sole source contract to install the earthquake early warning system extended network.
Second, Kerr. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Last mile funding application for electoral area D, internet service, CAO.
Receipt.
Oh, receipt. Let's do receipt first. Mr. Rice and Mr. Chapman. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So there is a current last mile application program out there from the province, and part of the condition of submitting applications is that we have letter support from the local government. So of the number of applications we've had out there, we've never had a letter of support or an application for Area D. All our other areas in the regional district, we have those. So we're hoping the board will support a letter of support for application for last mile funding for Area D.
Director Rice?
Just one question that I had was that when I looked at the report, it specifically mentioned Stories Beach and the Oyster River. We want to make sure too that it covers the other areas, so York Road and so forth. So I just wanted to get clarity on that to make sure that this application or this letter of support would cover those areas. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're pretty high level vague. We have this spanning the 2 regional districts. So the Comox Valley Regional District has also given us a letter of support. So it's going to span from York Road south down to Williams Beach, actually. So we've got 2 letters of support covering the 2 regional districts, spanning about York Road to Williams Beach.
Okay, thank you. Number 7, bylaw enforcement. Oh, sorry. Option A, option 1 or 2?
I would move option 1.
Thank you. Second? Director Vonish, was that a second? No, Wally. Oh, Wally, sorry, thank you. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Okay, now we're going to go to bylaw enforcement, 3749 Island Highway. Masters. On receipt, do I have somebody make a motion, please? Receipt. Thank you. Second, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, Aniko will speak to that. Thank you.
Thank you through the chair to the board. This report is to inform the board of a recent court order with respect to a property on the Island Highway, 3749 Island Highway, with respect to a structure and remnants of a former dwelling unit over the property. This is the second court order that the SRD has received with respect to this property. The first court order was for the property owner to either apply for a demolition or building permit to deal with the remnants of a burnt-out structure. Given the lack of action on behalf of the property owner, the regional district proceeded with a subsequent request of the courts for additional relief of the items that were initially put forward during the consideration of the first order. And on September 29th, Justice Baird issued a court order which gave the regional district the authority to tear down, demolish, and remove the remnants from the property. It is estimated that the costs associated with doing so will be about $20,000, and the disposal cost with an additional $5,000. These costs will be borne initially by the regional district and provided through our bylaw enforcement service, and then recovered through invoice to the property owner, and if not paid, transferred through the surveyor of taxes under section 3632 of the Local Government Act. The regional district is continuing to receive support from our legal counsel, and our legal counsel will be preparing the required notices. I'm sorry, I'm a bit sick, so my voice is really bad today. We'll be providing notices to both the property owners, plural, and those neighbors in relation to the works that will be occurring. We've retained a contractor to provide those works early January, weather and ground conditions permitting, and the RCMP will be on notice to provide notice to keep the peace with respect to the works should the property owners be on site. And yeah, that's for your information. Thank you.
Thank you. Directors, do you have any questions? Veronica? Director Rice?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to say that I know that all of the residents that have been affected by this have reached out and contacted me over the last day, so they are very anxiously waiting for a resolution to this. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a motion on A or B, please?
Move option A, Davis.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Director Rice, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Thank you. Bylaw 480, Duncan Bay Area Fire Protection. Thank you. Second? Second. Director Rice, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion carried. Director Wally?
I would move that bylaw number 480, being a bylaw to establish fire protection service for part of electoral area A, be now introduced and read a first time.
Director Chapman, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried.
I'd move that the rules be suspended and bylaw number 480 be given second and third readings.
Second.
You can pick. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried.
And finally, Mr. Chair, I'd move that a formal petition be prepared for distribution to property owners affected by bylaw number 480, and that further report be prepared for the board's consideration following the conclusion of the petition process.
Thank you. Rights and second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Thank you. Okay. Bylaw 481, North Quadra Assistance Response Service. Receipt, please. Winnie and Chapman, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Do you want to speak to that CAO? Nothing? Okay. And then we've got 481 on B, which is at bylaw 481, being the bylaw to revise the agreement, the provision of assistance response services to North Quadra Island be introduced and read for the first time. Motion, please.
So moved.
That was Colburn, I believe, voice of above. Second was Director Lott. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none? Carried. And C is that the rules be suspended of bylaw number 481 be given second and third reading. Mawini? Dahl? Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Anybody want to move D?
I'll move D.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Second? Mahoney? Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Thank you. That was bylaw 481, correct? Okay, correspondence. BC Housing Supply Act. Let's
items
move
1
them
to
all.
6.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, what was that, Joe? Did you?
Sorry, Director Wally, we didn't catch it. Say again, please.
I move items 1 to 6.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
I
Director
think we
Reyes?
need to pull number 3 because it has an ask, or, yeah, a re-ask.
A re-ask, we'll pull 3. Okay. Now we can go through the discussion. Do you want to go ahead with 3? We'll call the question, sorry. 1, 2, 4, and 6. And 5. So moved. Second? Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Go ahead, Director Mawini, on 3.
Okay, move receipt of item 3.
Second? Discussion? Director Mawini.
Item 3 is a letter from the Campbell River Community Foundation. We voted at the last board meeting to give a donation to them for their vital housing conversation. And if you read the letter, you'll note that we approved $3,900 and then, or up to. Oh, Dave's shaking his head. Maybe Dave should talk to this one.
CAO.
Thank you. Well, there was some, they had asked for 3,900 between the two organizations. The City of Campbell River gave them 3,000 when we checked. We topped that up with the up to 3,900, and it looks like they're coming back and saying they didn't receive as many donations as they anticipated. And my interpretation of it is they are possibly looking for another 1,200. However, I don't know if anyone else is confused by this because it says if the SRD allows the 3,900. Just for clarity, between the SRD and the City of Campbell River, we gave 3,900. The city 3, here 900. So it says if the SRD allows the 3,900. I'm not 100% certain what that means.
Sorry, do you want to, Director Mawini?
Oh, well, my interpretation when I read the letter was that this board had voted up to $3,900, which we believed to be the outstanding amount that they were trying to fundraise for, and that we donated 900 and they're asking for the original up to amount.
Again, I believe, because we contacted the city gave them the 3,000 and we were topping that up. That was my understanding. So collectively, we've given 3,900. I'm challenged here because I don't know how to interpret this, whether they want 3,900 more from the SRD and then they still have a balance of 1,200. I am happy to entertain anyone's interpretation because I don't understand it myself.
Mr. Yates?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I did talk to the Community Foundation following the last board meeting, and they had received a check for $900 from the Regional District. At that time, they explained that their request to the Regional District for up to, or for $3,900 rather, was following receipt of $3,000 or a commitment from the City of Campbell River for $3,000. So the $3,900 was allegedly in addition to the 3,000 from the City of Campbell River. However, this letter now explains they obviously didn't need all that money because they're only asking for 1,200. So it is a bit of a mess, for sure, and there are multiple interpretations, and mine may not be correct, but that is based on the discussion that I had with them.
Director Dole first.
Well, I was just gonna say, it looked to me like they were asking for an additional.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
you
work.
can't,
It doesn't
sorry.
Can you hear me?
You're good.
It looked to me like they're asking for another 1,200 on top of the 900.
Director Mawini?
He didn't support the other.
My understanding, and obviously maybe I didn't read it right, was that if we contribute the full 3,900, that the Campbell River Community Foundation can still have an outstanding balance of $1,200 that they did not manage to fundraise for.
That's what I said.
So I'm right in the middle of this because, you know, I'm a board member of the Community Foundation. I thought this was a motion to receive. I'm kind of listening to their discussion going, at what point do I recuse myself? Can I just call the question on the receipt and then let you guys do what you're gonna do?
Please.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, do you have a motion? We got a motion, we got the second. We did the discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none? Carried. Director Kerr.
Thank you. Could I perhaps move that we defer this and get some clarity? Bring it back to the next meeting?
Second.
Second by Director Wally. Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none? Carried. Okay, where are we? Members' reports. We have a report from Director Rice. Go ahead, Director Rice.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, sorry. I have to receive first. Thank you. Second? Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Go ahead, Dr. Rice.
Yes, I wanted to put this forward as a motion on being able to select APC committee members in a more transparent and accountable fashion. So I think what I've got written down there is pretty clear, and I'm looking for all the directors to support this. Thank you. So I need to make a motion, so I move that the directors accept this. Thank you.
Do we have a second? Second, Dr. Raleigh?
He just did.
I did it. Discussion? Sorry, go ahead, CAO.
No, just for clarity, the motion on the board there has, as I understand, has been moved and seconded by Director Mawini and open for discussion.
Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Number 2, public hearing notification. Director Mawini. No, let's do the motion to receive first, please. I keep forgetting that. Second, Director Rice. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Director Mawini.
Thank you, Chair, and to the board. I brought this because I believe that a public hearing is a very important part of the community consultation process. And broadly accessible community communication increases constituent engagement, achieves greater transparency, and improves the optics of local governance. Area C is notable for its size, is over 10,000 square kilometers, and encompasses dozens of wild islands and several substantial inlets. The population is concentrated on Quadra Island, but it does extend to Reed Island, Sonora, Morel, the Rendezvous, Stewart and Sturt, the Thurlows, the Redondas, and beyond. We have a newspaper which is delivered every other week to 1,200 Area C mailboxes, but as it is published every 2 weeks, it is not therefore considered for advertising public hearing notices. I believe that reaching the greatest number of constituents to inform and request input is a laudable goal, and I'm going to ask for your support on this motion that I'm about to tell you. In the interests of maximizing the reach of Strathcona Regional District public notices to a larger readership, I move that staff prepare a report on advertising and publication requirements of public hearings that includes options for notification through local media which publishes less frequently than weekly. Thank you.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none? Carried. Okay, thank you. Warming shelters. Director Rice will provide a verbal report on the subject of warming shelters.
Thank you, Chair and Directors. I just wanted to mention that with the recent weather events that we've been having, I wanted to bring to everybody's attention that Area D also has a number of people that are living out of their vehicles. Now, thankfully, I was able to get on the phone and make some arrangements with the John Howard Society. There were a number of people that stepped up in the community that went out and visited. But I think one of the things that are really glaring to me is that we don't have a regional response. So what are directors supposed to do? It would be really nice if we could have some kind of direction from the directors asking staff to come back with a report that perhaps outlines what we can do as a regional strategic thing that we can do for these people. Thank you.
We need to receive the verbal, correct? No?
No, just if there's a motion.
No, is there a motion in there? Director Rice, did you want to make a motion, please?
Well, I would like, if possible, to have the director's support, at least having staff prepare a report with some further information on what it would look like having a regional strategy to deal with this when it does happen. Like I said, I was quite fortunate in being able to do a few things, but I would certainly like to be able to do more down the road. So hopefully the directors can support at least a motion to, let's get some further information and see what that looks like. Thank you.
CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think we have a written motion. Maybe we could, that was kind of narrow that down a little bit.
Mr. Yates has a written motion.
Well, I'm just going by the language Director Rice used, and my understanding is that he's looking for a report on the regional strategy to deal with warming shelters. Is that essentially correct?
Essentially, but it doesn't even have to be as complicated as warming shelters. It's just basically, we don't have a strategy in place in terms of being able to deal with it. So what do directors do when they're encountering these problems?
Okay.
Thank you.
So your motion is that staff prepare a report on the regional strategy for warming shelters or options.
Just, Mr. Chair,
Hang on a minute. Sorry, go ahead,
for
CEO.
clarity, I understand what the motion is, so you don't need to wordsmith it for me, but if that's suitable for the board, I'm happy with it.
Director Mahoney, you had something to say? On your microphone? Okay. Thank you. Second? Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Management report, none. New business. Do we have any new business? No. Amendment items. Closed session. Termination. I think we should discuss this for a while because this was a very quick meeting. No? Anybody? Discuss it over wine and cheese, perhaps? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Thank you very much, everybody. Stick around for some food and water. Sorry, one thing I did forget to mention. Don't run away yet. Sorry, directors, can I have your attention, please? I have a gavel, that's right. Damn it, can you hear me? Okay, so Director Wally, can I have your attention for a sec? Thank you. So how this is we're having this little thing right now, but Director Kerr had a good idea for all of us to get together for some kind of team building thing. It's too quick to do before Christmas.